Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between me versus QWERTY here on Shattered Temple. Here you have me spawning as the yellow Terran player. Meanwhile, I am playing against QWERTY, and this was supposed to be a relaxing pickup game for me. It was not a ladder game. I was just supposed to, just try to have a little bit of fun, just try to relax a little bit. And all of a sudden, when I was playing, I was like, wait a second, he's a Masters of a player. So we have a little bit of a conversation here. I'm sure you guys can read it. Now, I am using the new my old microphone, my headset microphone, just because it allows me to hear game sounds and be able to keep track of what's happening on the screen as well, or by listening to Nidus Worms, things like that. Game sounds do definitely help. Unfortunately, the microphone is not nearly as good as my USB condenser microphone. I can't use the USB condenser microphone for now. I may just try to buy an SM58 microphone or another vocal mic sometime soon. I don't have an XLR input, so I'll have to get some converter cables as well, and hopefully that all works out for me. I don't want to use any direct boxes. Anyways, QWERTY now coming over as well, trying to bring in a drone, and he will be able to get in some damage and try to do some harassment here on Shadow Temple. He is going to start getting some damage onto this SCV. Luckily for me, my SCV moves just a little bit there, and I'm thinking to myself, hold on, if I bring over an SCV and I start fighting back here, I should be able to take it down, right? But unfortunately for me, natural regeneration for the win, and that drone gets the kill and is able to run away. So yeah, that drone at 4 hit points. I was like, okay, I don't mind even exchanging drones, but unfortunately for me, it doesn't work, as now a hatchery was built here. So it looks like he built the hatchery, misplaced it, lost a couple minerals, and then replacing it over here as well. I was playing a little bit earlier, and my daughter is sleeping, so I had to make sure I could hear my daughter if she cried. One of the reasons why I decided to do a pickup game is I don't mind leaving a pickup game if it is excuse me, I don't mind leaving a pickup game just because it doesn't really count for anything anyways. So here we go. Now let's start talking about StarCraft. I did build that standard front door over here. Want to make sure that Zerglings can't run by. I do know that this is pretty vulnerable to Banelings, but because my opponent did open up with an earlier hatchery, I'm pretty sure that he's not going to try to Baneling bust me, perhaps try to go for more of an economic game. We do see an Overlord now making its way over here, and it will be scouting along the backside. And I've been watching a lot of replays by Cloud, so I wanted to see how effective Hellions really were. So, yeah, QWERTY asking me, like, did I put up a cast with you and my daughter? Yes, I did. So, there is the factory now coming into play. A second factory also will be coming online as well, so it's going to be a double factory build here, and I want to try to use Blue Flame Hellions. Now I am also getting a second refinery as well. I know that in this game I'm trying to constantly transition, and I'll talk about my particular strategies and my particular thoughts now. I wanted to build a game where I was constantly trying to transition into a new strategy, so that it was very difficult for the Zerg to really figure out what I was doing in the long run. You can see that Zerglings are currently being trained here. As that metabolic boost about to be completed, I have a couple Marines more than ready to try to protect this front door here. As you now see, one factory is in play, Tech Lab being added, a second factory over here, making sure to get some additional supply depots down as well, just in case an Overlord does try to suicide its way in. I can bring my Marines over and get some damage that way. The Zerglings about to get that metabolic boost. Zerglings with metabolic boost much more dangerous just because they can close in on that attack, or close in on that melee range much more easily. So Marines now getting ready as well to just fight back. I do have a decent number of Marines, and now finally double training those Hellions. And the problem right now is QWERTY doesn't know what I'm going for. He sees that he does see that there's a supply depot there, but he doesn't see anything else really. He also sees that there is a barracks on the front door, but that hasn't changed really either. So he's still not quite sure what I'm doing. And as a good Zerg player, he's going to try to defend himself just in case I am going for mass Marines Marauders. Unfortunately for him, I am going into Hellions with that blue flame tech, and that blue flame tech really allowing me to get a lot of damage onto those drones. But as I'm getting the blue flame tech, I know that I'm going to be saving up a lot of gas, just because all the units that I'm currently training require no gas, and I'm also double mining from the refineries. I am going to be then going into a starport, transitioning into a starport play, with cloaked banshees. So that is my next transition. I'm gonna get Hellions with Hellions, and then as soon as this blue flame research is done, lift it off and then start trying to train some banshees while the Hellions are getting some damage in. So you can see that the Zerglings are now just wandering around. One Zergling going to make sure to see if I am trying to set up an expansion. I am expanding a little bit later at the 7-minute mark in this game. 7-minute 30-second mark, but it's not delayed that much. I do have a decent amount of Harvesters, 26 compared to 33, as the Hellions now moving out. And the Hellions are going to deal some damage. Already I know, because he had a Zergling at my base, that my Hellions are not going to be able to do a surprise attack. So I'm going to just try to move around here in with these Hellions. Try to run around, and the Zerglings now try to swarm. But the Hellions are just dealing too much damage already. Getting some drone kills there. A lot of drones quickly falling. And now battling it out against this Queen. I also want to try to deal damage towards these larvae, because if I can damage the larva, I can make sure that he doesn't train any additional units either. The Queen now making sure to sit on that ramp, as I now pull away a little bit further and try to get more damage here. Another drone going to be popping out, just trying to get more damage onto these units. The drone going to get torched very, very easily, as a second Queen now tries to come into play. The Queen is going to get some damage, but the drones are coming back once again, so just microing these units, trying to get as much damage onto those drones as possible, and trying to delay his economy as much as I can. He's now down to 32 Harvesters compared to my 29. Taking a look at the units lost, 1375 compared to my 450, and I'm already on my second Banshee, training up my second Banshee, getting up Hellions once more, and now also going to start repairing. Now, I know at this stage in the game, most likely my opponent has tier 2, has layer tech, and I'm thinking that he may be trying to go for a Spire. Spire is a very, very common play, so I am going to be throwing up an Armory and an Engineering Bay. The Armory is going to allow me to train Thors. The reason why Thors work out well in this particular instance is that the Thors train the natural, or are able to counter the natural response to Hellions. Normally, they either try to go for Mutalisks, Roaches, or Hydralisks. In this case, it's not going to be Roaches, Mutalisks, or Hydralisks, but actually Infestors, and Thors work out really well against them as well. So I have these Hellions here. The Hellions are going to be very, very powerful against any Zerglings that try to surround those Thors, while the Thors and the Marines are going to be trying to deal with the majority of those Roaches, if there are Roaches coming out. Second Banshee about to come into play here. You do see a sea of Zerglings, and he has a lot of Zerglings just because he doesn't want to fight against my Hellions. He also has those Spine Crawlers here as well. Zerglings on creep do deal a lot of damage, so that is going to be pretty significant. Expansion already set up at the 11-minute mark, getting those missile turrets down, as I am expecting Mutalisks, and the Banshees already have Cloak, and that is my counter against those units, against those Mutalisks if they do come out. And now going quickly after that Queen. So Queen now down to 1 hit point, so natural regeneration for the win once more, as I'm now getting kills onto the mineral line and the gas line here, just getting as much damage as possible. There you go, a very, very nice fungal growth, and revealing those units for just a second now, and now trying to fight back against this Queen. So that Queen is going to shut down one of my Banshees. That second Banshee still in play and getting a lot of damage across multiple drones even further. I'm trying to get as many kills now, and I realize that as my Thors are being trained and as my Hellions are being trained, these Spine Crawlers need to be dealt with. So I'm going to be going after the Spine Crawlers instead now, knowing that if I can clear out these Spine Crawlers, I'm going to be in a very, very powerful position once again. Banshee now coming in, a second Banshee cleaning up this Spine Crawler here. Now this one particular Queen going to finish off that Banshee, but with only one Spine Crawler left on that front door, I am in a very, very comfortable position indeed. You can see in comes that Queen once more, back off with that Banshee, and now I have Hellions, Thors, and Marines getting off a lot of damage here. You can see how much damage those Zerglings are able to do. Not very much at all, as those Hellions were able to just splash and just line up against all of those Zerglings very, very quickly. The Marines now fighting back once more, but that Banshee also getting a lot of damage as well. Infested Terrans now joining in on the fight. But Thors are just so powerful against Infestors, just because of how much damage they are able to do. Those Infestors are pretty much very, very weak units, and as those Infested Terrans are going to fall very easily as well. Queen tries to come over, but the Queen dies very quickly to Thors, as the Thors deal natural damage or a base 30 damage very easily. I call in some mules as well in order to try to repair some of these units. You can see that the Hellion back over here is also getting repaired, and also a Banshee joining in on that fight, as well. That Hellion just getting a lot of damage across the board, and 2 Thors, one Thor with 26 kills, the other with 20, taking the win here on Shattered Temple. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. It was much more of a me trying to experiment and trying to come up with a crazy strategy. I call this my transition offense, where I'm always transitioning into a new style of play. You can see that I'm also getting the level 1 weapons upgrade and the level 1 armors attack upgrade for my units as well, so trying not to fall behind. I am floating on a fair amount of minerals. A couple of things that I would add is I would make sure that I call down more mules. You can see I probably need a third command center already, as I am nearly mined out of my main base. So trying to build another command center here would be very, very beneficial. Also, I only have 4 production buildings, and that is a problem. I can't dump my minerals that easily. More Hellions are being trained. I guess I could have tried to train 2 Thors instead of 2 Hellions, thereby freeing up 400 gas and an additional 400 minerals as well. That would probably look a little bit better. But anyways, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 this game that I played. It was more of a relaxing, trying to experiment, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have success with my transition offense.